Certainly the rail journey which never gets you to where you want to go to, because if you were just with me, this is the bonus for a Monday, if you were just with me on board our Class 158, I got decapitated! And so the stream ended. The game decided to have a little crash. However, we have decided to fill your boots again, because we are going to do, because we didn't get to do the end of the East Midlands Railway Class 158, the high-speed train, the HST of Great Western Railway. It is the 10:22 service from London Paddington to Hereford. We will take it as far as Reading, because that's all they trust me to do. London Paddington, commonly just referred to as Paddington, built in 1838, was the temporary station, the permanent station, 1854. And we are on the Great Western Railway. Now, I'm going to have to set up an HST. It's been a while. All I'm going to say to you is do not have high hopes or any expectations for this. Here we go. Right. Not a clue what's happening now. It's running. The train is running. There's no lights or anything, but the train is running. Right, let's horn. That works. Right, master key is locked. Do we need to unlock it? Yes. Engine reverser is forward. Right, we have to stop at Slough. Now, where's the lights? Again, we're being let down by shoddy marksmanship here, because I actually have no idea where the lights are. Where are the lights in this thing? Someone's pulling my chain. Where's the lights? We're late already. We're going to have to make up time here. Please see when you just need to find lights. Ah! What's these? Windscreen de-icer. Don't need that in July in London. Nope. Ah! There's a button here. Oh, headlights! Hey! There we are! Right. Let's reduce the brake. And let's go for it! Look at the power! We're not moving. We are now! Brakes were on. Good to see the brakes work. Look at the green, the forest green. Look at that handsome devilish character. Oh, he could do his tie up. This is unforgivable. Beautiful sunny day here in the capital of the United Kingdom. We are on board this Great Western Railway high-speed train class 43 all the way to Reading. There you go, Great Western Railway. Great Western Railway. Let's listen to the horn. So yeah, this is a bonus, considering we got decapitated on the Class 158. Many people on this train. Many people indeed. There is the catering carriage, if you wish catering. Oh, beautiful. And there is a Class 166 just coming into Paddington. Right. Let's go back up to the front of our train. We're on line 1. We're flying along at 35 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen, in the HST. Lots of building work going on around and about London Paddington. Come on, let's keep going, keep going, keep going. Whoa. Listen to the growl of the car. Oh, we're speeding again. But yeah, this was released in the first part of the game when SimWorld was first released. And yeah, is it showing its age a little bit? Yeah, but it still looks good. I mean, the HST, full stop, is just a beautiful train. It really is a beautiful train. I mean, just the sleekness. Yes, they are old, and yes, they have mechanical issues, but they are generally a beautiful, beautiful train. Right, horn. It's just as little. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. No, we don't want to contact the signaller. We do not need to. I'd like some speed. Listen to that engine. the build up of the turbo spools. Nice. Let's hear it from outside. Oh yes. Oh yes. So, let's see some of the detail. Class 43, there you go, maximum speed, 125 miles an hour. The horn is going, there we go. Stopping in Slough, 16 miles. Can we do 16 miles in 11 minutes? Hey, yes we can. We're coming up to 100 miles an hour shortly. And there's another HST just passing us just now. No decapitation involved this time. Because we are better than that this time, let's just make sure. Let's see what we've got. Look, there's another HST as well. It gets better and better. Right, let's get the power down. Look at this! Smoke from the engines, the power of through 100 miles an hour. That is what we wanted to see. HST built in the 60s and 70s. In the UK, service since 1976, nearly 50 years old is the HST. Still being used by a few train companies today. A number are trying to sort of replace them in the fleet, like Great Western Railway have replaced them with the Class 800s, the Class 800 series. Well, I mean, just look, it is a long train. And then you hear that engine, and there it is. Yes, it dawdles as it gets up to 100 miles an hour. Yes, it's a bit cranky every so often, but it doesn't half sound grand. Back in the cab, and the cab is very airy. We do like the cab, it's very airy. No, we're not opening the... No, we can try and open the door, but it doesn't let us. That's a positive. I mean, you wouldn't want it to let you out. But here we are. I don't think there's really much else to say about this, if I'm being honest. It's nice. You can't lock the door, unlock the door even. Yep, all good there. Brake test? No, we don't want to brake the test. Engine? No, we don't want to do engine stops. Don't want emergency brake either. We will get into trouble. Wipers, no, we don't need them. And we're at 80 miles an hour. Coming through A station. Let's go on this side. See the passengers looking at the HST and going, wow, I want to ride on one of them. That is what they want to do. Oh, there's Class 66 locomotive. They do not want to ride on one of them. But just look, just again, let's have a look at some of the detail. Wheels look like they're flailing a bit, but that's fine, we can cope with that. Whoa, that was a 166. Yeah, just ignore that flailing just now. Nothing to see here, folks. All is well in the HST. But yeah, the bogies are there. Another station. We'll honk the horn. But yeah, it's just a really nice train. Mark 3, Mark 4 carriages. We're not going to be decapitated this time. No, we're all good. No decapitation involved. But yeah, we've got the fans involved as well. It's just a really nice train. And bear in mind, this was designed in the 70s. This was the height of advanced engineering in the 70s. It really was. I mean, British Railways made the decision in the early 70s that they wanted to replace its mainline express diesel traction, but and remember, in the 70s, you were still only 25 years after World War II had ended. And money was tight. So they couldn't do mass electrification. There's another one. Wave at the driver. They couldn't do mass electrification. They needed diesel trains to be developed, and they obviously had the Class 55 Deltics. It's shown that a low axle weight was essential because you don't want to damage the track at sustained high speed. Top high speed engines were there. 125 miles an hour. Each power car had a diesel engine. 12-cylinder Paxman Valenta, generating 2,250 brake horsepower. 70-ton weight of the power car gave it a loading of 17.5 tons. But yeah, there was a number that were built. The prototype looked nothing like the actual end result. It looked like Freddy Krueger had taken his hands and other things to the front of an HST. Oh, people! Hear the horn, we are flying through. But yeah, the front cab design didn't look like that. 197 of them were built, and the fleet has had various life extensions over the course of it, so new MTU engines, etc. But ScotRail now have 52 power cars. You've got Great Western Railway have 31, 22 have been scrapped, 39 have been stored, which is good, 16 are preserved. Network Rail use some for their rail measurement train. Colas Rail use some ex-Virgin stock, and Cross Country have 12 of them. But it was the 40th anniversary in 2016, and they painted it in the good old intercity colours. Let's do the horn! Make sure people don't get sucked in by the train. There we go. 5 minutes to do 7.4 miles. Easily achievable in a 125 mile an hour beast that is the GWR HST. But yeah, so we started to speak a bit about in a previous, the previous video, about the Beeching cuts, because you can't talk about the UK railways and not talk about Richard Beeching, or Baron Beeching as he was. Born in April 1913, died March 1985. He was a physicist and an engineer, and for a lot of his life, probably just stayed in quiet. Nobody really knew who he was. But in a short and very notable time was the chairman of British Railways, and he did the report, and the board tasked him to do that kind of report and view of what Britain's railways should be. It was losing money. There was a large number of activities going through the lines that weren't making, so from a cost efficiency perspective, so it was commonly referred to, although it was called Reshaping of British Railways, it was referred as the Beeching Report, and then it was the Beeching Axe. And this is where people got really, really passionate about it. There was 4,000 route miles. 4,000 miles. 6,500 kilometres for our non-mileometer people. Were removed from the system. It left us with what was about 13,700 miles of lines. Horn! There we go. 3.8 miles to Slough. We're at 123 miles an hour. Let's go in close so you can see. This is what 123 miles an hour head on looks like. It's fast. And let's roll the engine back. Do love that. And here comes a Class 166. Ho-ho! Speed and power as we go through. Station coming up. Do the horn. But yeah, so once we lost the initial 4,000, there was another 2,000 miles we lost by the end of the 60s, and some other lines were reduced to freight only. And this was the thing, he was a physicist, he was an engineer, but was some of the findings potentially flawed? Yes, they possibly were. But I think part of this whole kind of debate about beaching was very much on kind of the legacy ultimately. And I mean, it is controversial. I mean, let's not get it wrong, right? That he was brought in to save money, and the critics of beaching have always said that he basically ignored the social impacts of his proposal. So, I mean, we know that rail replacement bus services were never a success. We know that. I mean, anytime you do a rail replacement bus service, you've got a problem. Let's just brake, we're coming in, let's just see what this lovely HST can do. Full service braking, 700 yards just outside of Slough. What a wonderful place. You can see lots of building work on the go, infrastructure improvements. We're gonna make it early. How brilliant is this? Right, let's just go on the other side so that we can see. Right, come on, keep braking, keep. Oh no, we're being decapitated again. That's never a good sign. We need to keep going. We've stopped early. We've stopped early. We're going to just move forward a little bit because we stopped early. See, we were that eager to get there that we braked early. And I need to get the rear of the train into said platform. Let's just make sure we get the rear onto the platform. Get out of my way. Do you know how important I am? There we go, right. And that'll have to do. Right. Doors will swing open. There we go. This is Slough. That's all you need to know. But yeah, so we know the rail replacement bus services were never a success. We know that. It was encouraging car use, but then it ignored the economical argument that might have actually saved lines. And the figures were wrong. And this is the thing, it wasn't... If you did it now, you would get different outcomes. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some railway lines that just were not feasible. But what they did, and possibly what they did really wrong, was they ripped up the track beds and everything. So, I mean, even if you wanted to reinstate them, you couldn't. But, I mean, some have accused him of being the scapegoat for a conspiracy. And, I mean, you kind of get to that point where you go, really? Let's get this HST going again. Look at this smoke. Listen to that HST. Full throttle. Lots of squeakies going on, apparently. 17 miles to Reading in 14 minutes. It's doable. We will keep going straight on. The grumbling of the engine there. But yeah, so there was the conspiracy, and they thought he was in favour of the road construction lobby and all that kind of stuff. But yes, at the time, the UK Conservative government was closely linked to the road construction lobby. But, and this is the crucial part about the whole beaching scenario, the findings were implemented by subsequent Labour governments. So when you get this whole thing about the Conservatives don't like the railway and everything like that, it was that yes, they were in charge when the report was commissioned, but actually the Labour governments were the ones who were implementing those findings. Again though, Beeching wasn't going out and getting all this data himself, he was getting fed data. And again, you come back to the civil servants. Again, were they responsible for shortcomings? The road lobby was less significant than the Treasury making policy. Labour Party was funded by rail unions. Yeah, again, you can see it from both sides. I mean, the railways were always, at a point, going to be challenged by the building of motorways and roads, and as the economy grew and coming out of the Second World War, more people owned cars, etc., you were always going to get this move. But the question and the key was, how do you identify those services? And bearing in mind that most railway lines, especially commuter railway lines, are busy between the hours of 7 and 9 a.m. and between 4 and 6, 7 p.m. Throughout the day, they lose money. That's just the nature of it. But you wouldn't knee-jerk cancel a lot of services. So you wouldn't just go, oh, well, we'll just cancel the 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It doesn't make sense. But you are subsidising it based upon that. Just to say also, as part of this, the route, you can see the route was getting ready for electrification in time. Oh, look, there's a 166. They are loud diesels. But yeah, so again, you're not going to do that. So you've got to then say, well, how do you actually get the cuts that you need ultimately? I mean, you were talking about the losses were something like 68 million in 1960, 87 million in 1961, and 104 million in 1962. It near enough went up by 75% in 2 years. Now, in 1962, 104 million is the equivalent to 2.36 billion in today's money. Again, that is not sustainable. It just isn't. The great joys about a train journey which only stops at 2 locations, you can talk. But again, they couldn't pay the interest on their loans. This was the whole thing. So £300,000 a day of losses in 1961. And since nationalisation in 1948, so just after the Second World War ended, 3,000 miles of line had been closed, railway staff numbers had fallen by 26%, and the number of railway wagons had fallen by almost a third. So again, there was still a lot of problems that needed to be addressed ultimately. The other thing, we'll go into more detail as we kind of go through these. But I mean, you've got the whole sort of reopenings as well, and this is probably one of the really kind of completed reopenings. So if we think about horn as we fly through the station. What was that? Oh, there's a 166 just coming round the curve. There we go. We're on our way to Reading. In the southeast, the Chiltern Main Line was redoubled into 2 stages between 1998 and 2002. In the southwest, you've got reopenings of stations including Fenton, Pinhole, Templecombe and Yate. In East Anglia, you've got the Peterborough to Lincoln line was closed and then reopened 6 months later. East Midlands, you've got the Robin Hood line that was opened in the early 90s, since closed in 1964. Stations at Siston. We never got to Siston in the last video because we got decapitated before we got there. They were closed in 1968, they were reopened in 1994. In the West Midlands, you've got, for instance, the line from Coventry to Nuneaton, that was reopened in 1988. The Coles Hill was closed in 1968, reopened in 2007 in North Eastern Yorkshire. Stations reopened such as Slaithwaite, Bramley and Sherburn and Elmet. The line from Sunderland to South Hilton, closed in 1964, was rebuilt in 2002. Wales, they've got plenty of avenues in there. They've got 32 new stations have opened in South Wales. In Scotland, you've got things like Stirling to Alloa. The Alloa railway line was closed but was reopened in 2008. You've got the Borders Railway, so the good old Borders Railway between, if we go back to a time well gone, it was, you could get to England via the Borders Railway. It was reopened. Edinburgh to Tweedbank via Galashiels reopened September 2015. We're all good on speed, that's fine. Again, Fife Circle brought in Cardenden and Thornton. Mary Hill line reopened to stop and trains in 93. It had ceased in 1960. And also you've got the Highland lines as well that were there. So again, you've got, and then there's the proposals that come, like the Leavenmouth Rail Link. It's due to reopen in 2024 in Fife in Scotland. You've got the Walsall to Wolverhampton line. It's due to reopen if it hasn't already reopened. And then you've got Portishead Railway, and you've got various different things. And this is the thing, this is now bringing the railways back into where they should be in 2023 and onwards, because ultimately they are successful and people will use it. If you continue to push, as in you, if governments and councils continue to push the green agenda, where they say you cannot drive into city centres because of ULEZ and LEZs and car parking taxes and all that kind of good stuff, then yes, by its very definition, you will force people to use public transport only if the public transport is designed effectively and operates effectively. And so if you have regular train services, but it's not just about, station, we're going 125 miles an hour. But if you are heavily focused on pushing that green agenda, I'm not going to say stopping people, but if you are going to limit their availability of driving in, then you need to have a public transport system. And a good way to have a good rail system is not just to have the money and the lines and the stations, but it's to make it affordable as well. You cannot have a scenario whereby you're spending £6,000 a year on a train season ticket. And yes, back in the day, the government mostly subsidised it, and in other countries they subsidise it as well. But then you sit there and go, well, what's your trade-off? And this is the whole part of the railways, ultimately. It's got to be a scenario of, is it effective? Does it deliver what it is? And does it connect people? And by reopening railway lines, by reopening stations, by encouraging more people to do it, then you are going to encourage people to use the railway. You're going to use it, but only if the service works. And too often than not, you see the scenario that it just doesn't work. And it doesn't seem to work in this country. Well, it works in Germany, and it works in Italy, and Spain, and all that good stuff. But anyway, less of the ramblings of Dr. Beeching and his cuts. We'll do more of that. Look at the smoke coming from our HST. 124 miles an hour, people. We are rapidly firing into Reading. Felt like Simon Cowell on the X Factor there, swinging around the train. Look at this steam that's coming up. We can see ahead of ourselves now. We're going to have to brake, because we're going to run out. We're going to be speeding again. Always happens, because we get so engrossed. Let's do full service down to 95 miles an hour. We're going to have to also watch as we come into Reading for yellow signals. Right, we're back under. We're going to have to brake again. We were gallivanting along at 125 miles an hour. We were just happy. We were happy people. And now they are restricting us to 60. Look at that. Even like just the logo, it's like riveted on. It's like the 1912s with Titanic. You can hear that burbling of the HST engine coming into Reading. We're going to be early. Ladies and gentlemen, we are early for a change. You can look out to your left and see some park, and you can look to your right and see nothing. But yes, so 30 miles an hour, we're coming into Reading. There's another HST just about to pass us here. Let's just swing out a bit, let's get the two HSTs together, let's give them a honk on the horn. That's Joe. He's driving that train to Paddington. Joe the sailor. He was a sailor in a previous life, apparently. We're coming into Reading in this Great Western Railway high-speed train. We've hit 125 miles an hour. We've sailed through Slough. Told you a bit about this railway, a bit about the HST, how they're still in use now. Let's just put the brakes on Slough. Let's not get decapitated by a sign. Reading station looking wonderful. Right, I think that'll do us as we sail into the platform. At Slough, we missed a carriage at the end. It was unavoidable. It's why we turn the superiors anyway after. When they say why were people not able to get onto your train. W.H. Smith. Buy all of your magazines and chocolate and confectionery. There's people waiting. Oh, there's a ginger in a suit. And it's not even Scotland. There you go. Right. Let's bring the braking. The brakes on this are really, really good, to the point that actually they're almost a bit too good. Here into Reading. There we go. You'll see her coming to a stop, and you can see there, HST, that is our stopping point. Let's stop. See when you need to stop. There you go. HST car stop. We've opened the doors. They are escaping. What have we got here? Reading. There you go. Toilets, waiting room, baby changing facilities. W.H. Smith, happy days. What have we got here? Hereford, 10:54. That's this service. We're on time. We're early. Just doesn't mean we can actually go anywhere. Let's have a quick look in one of the. Oh, she's gone. She went quickly. But yeah, nice on the inside. Oh, near enough got decapitated again. Platform 9 we're on here at Reading, and there you go, calling it Oxford, Hamborough, Charlbury, Kingham, takes a while, Morton and Marsh, Evesham, Worcestershire, Parkway. We're going to lock the doors now. I'm a bit bored of explaining where this train's going. But there we have it. 31 minutes, 27 seconds on time. Slightly, we missed the platform slightly. 116 yards, but look at that stopping accuracy. 3.31. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The London Paddington to Hereford run stopping at Reading. Another driver will replace me as we go. But do join us again. So today, have a look. We had East Midlands Railway, Class 158. All was going well until decapitation occurred and the game crashed. Yesterday, we got the Cathcart Circle, Glasgow Central to Neilston. And the day before that, we had the Class 385 at Glasgow Queen Street to Edinburgh Waverley. Lots of fun and frolics. Do get involved. Lots of topics to discuss. We've talked a bit about the Swanage Heritage Railway from an article in the news in the Evening Standard written by Ben Mitchell. Go and check that out. But this is your rail driver Gav saying to you, you have arrived at Reading. Now get off my train.